I work with a biodiversity company called Biologic Nature and Community, and we have our own property, Impact Dreaming, a little 10-acre property on the Swan Coastal Plain that we produce Noongar food and medicine plants. And my PhD is in reimagining landscape restoration and food production systems through Noongar food and medicine plants. So I had the opportunity to go to Sri Lanka, very frightening because I haven't travelled very far from home. In Sri Lanka was a global food forum called Nalini, and Nalini is very much a political and social movement. It had 700 people from around the world, and I went as a delegate from Australian Food Sovereignty Alliance. What I wanted to do while I had the opportunity to hold this space was to bring some of the voices from Nalini into this room because it's completely relevant to what we're doing this week. I do some wonderful work with Katie and John and Commonland on this theory U, and I thought I'm going to try poetic scribing. So I went to Nalini. So many people there, very much out of my comfort zone, but I think that's where we grow the most. They opened up this forum by telling us about the reasons why we were there. And here's some of the reasons that I have from my notes. One of the things I found really interesting is that the farmers and fishers were saying that they're wanting to push back on conservation groups. Conservation groups are coming too much into their space. One of the other things was that the current processes are exploitive and extractive. They were very much against the corporate capture and dispossession of lands, oceans, grasslands and forests. And I felt like we already know this here for our landscape also. From here, I moved into, there's two groups that I belong to. One was our region, Asia Pacific, and the other one was Indigenous. So we moved into Asia Pacific region. And in here, some of the key issues that I took note of was that Indigenous knowledge was missing in this collective social political movement. That the system has transformed all of our goods into commodities, and this has already been brought up earlier today. And again, that land tenure is an issue. When I moved into the Indigenous group of discussion, what came up this the most was our rights to self-determine, and were not being present in people's movements on the ground, that the priorities were for youth, women, and succession planning and the transfer of knowledge, and that the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People with the fundamental right as food sovereignty was also missing. So first of all, here I want to share with you Asia Pacific. Indigenous peoples, First Peoples, health of land. People, look to us. Commodify our knowledges. First-hand impacts, front line of solidarity. First Peoples first. Deep concerns. Hope, opportunities. Youth for which we fight. Once again, capitalism wins. Loss of biodiversity and traditional foods. Loss of foods. Loss of cultural identity. Manufactured by greed and corruption. Place-based governance. Systems of change. Competing, but together we are stronger. Until we are all free, none of us are free. That's Asia Pacific. I'd now like to take you to, I think this is Serbia and Pakistan representative groups. We are prisoners in all regions of the world. Pastoralists in danger, grazing lands, invasion, conservation, way of life, wildfires, carbon trade markets, rangelands of no use, forestation, bad quality products. We are of the solution. Rewilding, wild animals, our voices not considered. 2026, International Year of Rangelands and Pastoralists. Academia imposing voices. Youth will leave. Recognise, respect, preserve. Genocide in Gaza, take action. And now I'd like to take you to the Indigenous voices from North America. We begin with a story. Thriving culture and economy. Started with extraction. First, they came for gold. Then they came for our people. Then they came for our land. Waves of change. erased our systems, plunderers, extracted from African communities, genocide again, continue to use, falsely create, new world, many worlds. Look to our past, solutions are already being practiced. From those sessions, we went into what was being developed, a common political agenda and the declarations. There were a few takeaways that I had from that that I would like to share with you. Indigenous knowledges and voices were not central to the common political agenda at all. So whilst people were aware of all of these systemic changes in globally, there was still a complete missing link to Indigenous voices and knowledge systems within the solutions. What I found particularly interesting is that there were some priority groups of priorities of women and priorities of youth that were again ahead of Indigenous. And the whole time all I could think was, but if you come in with a Nyungar lens, you're going to cover the women and the youth, you know, and I was sit there like, what's going on here, or what's missing in the thinking, or what's missing in the conversations. And that really told me that the value of country, or Budja, or territories as the different language that was used in the forum, was still not understood by the collective that was in the room. The way that the forum was structured, I think this didn't allow for the voices to come forward or to the new thinking to come forward at the time. But instead of just withdrawing, I thought, okay, let me zoom back onto Nyungar country or Perth and let me think about what we're doing back home. And I thought about the collective impact process that we started. And again, at the beginning of that, Keith and Stuart, you might remember that Oral and I dug our heels in a little bit and thought, well, Nyungars don't have an equal seat at the table here because we're not farmers and we're mostly not landholders. But we were able to sit down with many people who were in this room, I know were involved in that process, and start to talk and to yarn and to listen and to understand. So I was extremely grateful for that process that started, and in going through this experience thought, well, we need to go back and pick that up and we need to continue with that work. But to continue with that work, we need to address a couple of big issues, which is around land tenure and land access. My belief, and I notice I've only got a few minutes left, is that the change that we need to see at the moment is not going to come from an attempt to bring Nyungar knowledge or First knowledge systems with all of this beautiful science that has been presented today. I don't think that's where the answer is. I believe that the answer is in the new knowledge system, where all of us are coming together, acknowledging that we're in a completely different landscape, that the old knowledge never had to deal with all these issues of degraded country, and everyone else is still trying to catch up with how did country get to how it is. People want to feed the world. We just want to be able to have our plants, food and medicine plants, to continue and survive. We want cultural revival and we want cultural survival. Is this regen ag? Is this food sovereignty? I don't think it's either, but it is collective action, and that's what we need to focus on moving forward. Thank you.